Welcome, everyone. This is James Pelton. I hope you're having a wonderful Tuesday. So it's been a few, I used to do AMAs like every single day. So I think it was Friday was my last one. So it's like, oh man, it's been so long, but I guess it hasn't really been that long. But have an exciting project to talk about with you today. Mineopoly is the name of it. So we're going to be talking through their NFT and what they're doing on the crypto mining side of things. What I need from you, audience, as we're getting started here, please hit the like button. And the comment question of the day. I haven't done this one for a while. This used to be my every single video, but I have not done this one for a while. But who's here and where are you watching from? Again, always amazing to me. I'm in small town Roca, Nebraska, here in the U.S., but can connect with people all over the world via the internet. So very excited to have all of you. So hit the like button. Let me know where you're watching from. If you guys have questions as we're going, please feel free to ask those and we'll get those answered as we can. So let's turn it over to you guys. Let's start with quick introductions before we dive into Mineopoly. So Ethan, we'll start with you.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Ethan Zerka, and I can totally relate from, working remotely and being able to access people from all around the world. That's actually how I met my good friend and business partner, Saqib Alam. He was living in Bangladesh when we first met, and we worked together for like 2.5, almost 3 years before we actually ever got to meet face to face and shake hands. And yeah, that's just an amazing thing about the internet that you can work like that these days. On top of that, I'm the CEO of A6Z, which is a mining hardware brokering company. We also do power and infrastructure as well here in the United States. I'm also CEO of our sister company in Dubai, which is A6Z East, and partnered with Saqib here many years ago, and we've just been growing ever since we decided to start working together. And Saqib, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name's Saqib Alam, and as Ethan said, we've been longtime partners and friends, and I am the CSO of A6Z and also a co-founder of A6Z East, and I look forward to presenting Mineopoly to all of you today.
Awesome. So good to have you, and so good to have all of you in the audience. Again, appreciate you guys very much. Glad that you could be here today. Do you want to go ahead then, Ethan? Do you want to give us kind of again, assuming people have never heard of Mineopoly, do you want to kind of just give an elevator pitch? If you had from 0 to 6th floor in the elevator with someone, they said, what do you do?
Well, we do a lot of things. Primarily, we've been in the mining industry for many, many years. I think between Saqib and myself, we have roughly 18 years experience. But the elevator pitch would go as simple as something like this. How would you like to be able to acquire Bitcoin for a production cost of $6,000 per Bitcoin? Right. So we feel, being in the industry as long as that we've been in it, it's gone institutional level, meaning if you don't have millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, it's almost impossible for the everyday person to participate in mining anymore. And we decided, after also getting involved in some DeFi NFT projects and having them go south, we decided to take our expertise in mining and try to make a genuine, a true project, because we're coming from the mining space to NFTs, not NFTs to the mining space.
Exactly.
Okay, very good. And that was actually going to be my next question. We've had a lot of kind of mining NFTs come to the market over the past 6 months. I think when something's profitable, then there's a lot of people who are like, oh yeah, let's do that. So we've had Hydro Whales and Ace Miners and Goofy Gophers mining and all those. What would you kind of say is your guys's secret sauce? What kind of sets you apart from the other mining projects that you've seen out there?
Well, being long-term veterans in the industry, Saqib and I both know that your power cost is paramount. That you need the best and the lowest power costs to really optimize your operations and to get the most out of your operations. And that is kind of the determining factor. First of all, what is your power cost and how much power do you have available? Because we get asked the question every single day, what kind of miner should I buy? Well, it's just not as simple as going to a website like ASIC Miner Value and picking out the most profitable miner for that day. By the time you get that miner in hand, it may be an altcoin miner or something along those lines. You get it in hand, the value of the altcoin is dropped, or the network difficulty is skyrocketed because everybody and their mama is mining on that network. And it just doesn't turn out well. It just doesn't end up giving you what you were anticipating from inception. And we know this all too well. And so that's why we exclusively mine with Bitcoin mining machines. We don't go with those altcoins. And none of our institutional miners, the companies that we deal with, they don't use the altcoins either because they know the same trap. So what makes us different is just simply that. It's our profound experience, our ability to find some of the cheapest grid power on Earth, and our knowledge of the full miner life cycle. So we understand that these machines, they don't run forever. What you've got to do is you've got to keep refreshing them and staying current with the most efficient machines on the market, again, to maximize your opportunity. And we feel like a lot of other projects, because they're going from the NFT space into mining, they're not experienced with that as we are. And so we wanted to make our project different by including the full miner life cycle.
Okay, very, very good. And so a lot of these other mining projects, they kind of talk about mining altcoins as a pro to what they're doing. They're like, hey, we're not only mining Bitcoin, we're mining altcoins as well. And then you guys kind of see it that more as a negative. Now let's focus on Bitcoin. Do you want to talk maybe about why you decided on, hey, let's focus on Bitcoin, let's skip the altcoins? And maybe I know you had some info you wanted to share too about, the future of Bitcoin or where you see Bitcoin going. You want to talk just a little bit about that?
Sure. So when it comes to altcoin miners, yes, they're kind of opportunistic, if you will. They're profitable for a short time, but a huge factor in the mining industry that inexperienced miners don't consider is the residual value of the machines. So when these altcoin miners, and if we go to a website like asicminervalue.com, and I'll kind of pull that up. Everybody uses the simple, straightforward logic. Okay, what is the machine that earns the most rewards? Well, right now it's the KS3, right? And it's using a K heavy hash. Well, what they don't bother to do is they don't scroll down to the bottom to what I call the graveyard, right? And if you go down to the bottom here, you can see many machines. Some of them are even brand new, like this gold shell. It's only like a year or so old. That have already just collapsed. And this is inevitable. Look at all these altcoin miners. They all end up in the graveyard. And nobody wants to buy these miners. You couldn't give these miners away. And that's inevitably what happens in the altcoin market, is that all of these altcoin miners are produced, people mine with them. And at one time, some of these miners were earning multiple thousands of dollars per day. And now you couldn't sell them for the life of you. The reason why we choose Bitcoin miners is because we know that there's a stable market. We know that there's a stable hash rate and a stable reward, and that there will be a stable market to sell to afterwards when we're done and we're ready to upgrade. Taking the altcoin miner into example, like, what's your next step? What are you going to upgrade into? When this altcoin crashes and it goes into the graveyard, what are your options there? You don't have a residual machine that you can sell. You don't have a residual income. And it just doesn't make sense when you run it through the full cycle. Now, when you're inexperienced and you don't know the full cycle, of course it makes sense, right? It's just simple logic. It's simple math. But the true mining experience is not done. This is how people get wrecked. It's not done by just using simple logic. It's using experience over time and knowing what you're doing, and knowing that there's a residual value in the machines and that you have to capitalize on that residual value to then refresh what you're doing. Because ultimately what you're doing is you're taking power and you're converting it to an asset. And so in order to utilize that power correctly, you have to constantly marry it with the most efficient machines on the market.
Yep. And Scott says, careful, these are fresh wounds for James still. And that's very true. I'm a victim of exactly what you're talking about. I bought two Kadena Gold Shell KD5 miners and a KD6 miner, which at the time were making $200, $300 a day. Then Kadena crashed. Bitmain came out with a new Kadena miner, so difficulty went way up. And now both of my miners, I spent $50K on them. and they are in the graveyard that you're speaking of. And it was an altcoin. I regret them. You might even be able to find them down there. They're probably way, way, way low. The KD5 and KD6. The KD6 was worthless almost immediately after it came out because Bitmain came out with their own miner. And then even the KS3, which you're talking about here, just some people would have bought it, just a couple weeks ago. It was projected to make $2,000 a day, and then it's down already to $400 a day. So you just have to really know what you're doing, be very careful, very cautious. And so giving it over to an expert team, that has a lot of experience, not only on the mining side, but on the crypto side as well, is what I would recommend for people. Go ahead.
I was going to say both Sakib and myself. I mean, when we both got started, we have our horror stories too, right? We initially got in this with the D3s, I believe.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough to make my money back for the miner with the D3. But it happens time and time again. And after you've been in this industry long enough, you learn from these experiences, you grow from these experiences, and you don't make those mistakes over again.
Yep, exactly. Badgerland says mining tuition, and that's very, very true. And now I have good expensive space heaters in my garage if I want to turn those on in the winter time.
They work great for that.
Yeah, they work great for that. Do you want to talk a little bit more? I know you had some charts you wanted to show about maybe the potential of Bitcoin, or what you kind of think Bitcoin's going to do, or where do you think we're at in the cycle? Do you think we're kind of low? Do you think Bitcoin's going to retrace? Talk a little bit about Bitcoin.
Sure. I can, if you go ahead and switch over here, I can talk about that until I'm blue in the face. Stock to flow model is what we use, me and Sakib, to really make our business decisions. And one of the things that I'd like to, well, first of all, let's kind of explain what is stock to flow model. Stock to flow model is a model that is showing supply and demand. All right. And in this middle line here, you have what I call the nexus line. So this is where the price of an asset should be based upon the supply versus the demand. And one of the things that I'd really like to point out is that whenever we're deeply below the nexus, when we get into a bull run situation, we have to kind of fill in that negative space. So if you look at this chart, and I don't know if everybody can see it well, I can zoom in better if it's too small for everybody to see.
It looks, if you're able to zoom in maybe just a tiny bit, but it's pretty good.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right. Hopefully that's bigger. Yeah. So if we look, we can notice that when we have these areas where we go deeply below the nexus, that in the bull run, we go greatly above the nexus. And this last bull run, I'm not going to lie, guys, it was really underwhelming. But it wasn't until I started observing how far things go below the nexus to how much things go above the nexus that now it kind of makes sense to me. If we look at the last crypto winter, we can see that it went just briefly below the nexus, and for the majority of the time, it was above the nexus. And so that's why we got kind of a ho hum, of a bull run. Like, it really was not very impressive. But what is consistent is that in every bull run, we do go above the nexus. Okay, so let's look at where we are currently. We can see currently we're deeply below the nexus. And what stock to flow predicts in the next bull run is that we're going to go to at least 460, 470K per Bitcoin, which is absolutely phenomenal. Now, if we use history as our guide and we look at, situations where we go deeply below the nexus, there's a potential we could go profoundly much higher than just what stock to flow predicts. We know for certain that it will go above what stock to flow predicts, but I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a super crazy expert. I just use common sense and logic. And so common sense and logic is telling me that it's going to go above the nexus. What that number is going to be, I'm not going to put that out there, but it should be something that is in line with what we've seen historically. So if we've seen, this great patch that goes deeply below the nexus, then I would expect to see the same in this next bull run.
Yeah, so absolutely. Well, and I was going to say too, with all these potential ETFs, spot ETFs being filed,
Mhm.
and just there's a lot of things in the markets too that seem like Bitcoin is really poised to take off, that there's a lot of revenue, because when Bitcoin going up that much in price is going to take a lot of capital coming in to make that happen,
Mhm.
more so than we've needed in past bull runs. But it looks like we're poised, kind of, in my, again, not financial advice, so I'm wrong about tons
Yeah.
of things all the time, but it seems like we're poised for a lot of this capital to come in. And so Bitcoin for me is one of, when people ask me what crypto should I invest in, I almost always say, well, start with Bitcoin. Okay. Just
Yeah.
accumulate some Bitcoin. How would I'd like you to continue too, because I know you have a lot of stuff you want to share, but how would
Sure.
you compare mining Bitcoin towards just buying Bitcoin? How does someone think about, if I have $500 or $1,000, is it better to mint 2 NFTs, or is it better to just buy, 1/30th of a Bitcoin? Or how does someone think through something like that?
Well, that's a really great question, and we get it actually quite frequently. And the best way to explain it is simply this: is you're trying to compare a perfect buy against a production cost with a residual asset. Let me just kind of deep dive into that a little bit more. What do I mean by that? So, in a scenario where you want to buy Bitcoin and you want to try to beat what we're doing, you would literally have to wait around night and day and predict exactly where the bottom is and buy in perfectly at that. And then conversely, you have to predict where the top is and then sell perfectly at that. And it's kind of a one trick pony because you really don't have any options in between but just to buy, wait and wait and wait and sell. And so let me kind of go into our situation, what makes it profoundly different, right? So literally for the cost of our NFT, you could buy for roughly about the same amount of Bitcoin that what we're predicting will kind of be the sell point in the next bull run, right? But what you're not able to buy is the residual value of the machine. So these machines are going to have a residual value when we sell them and refresh them at the top of the bull market. And when you factor those two things in just alone, that outweighs just simply buying and holding, right? Because you have a residual value of the machines that you can sell for a profit, and you're also getting roughly the same amount of Bitcoin that you could buy today. If today is the perfect day, the bottom of Bitcoin to buy before the bull run, we don't know that. That's an unknown. Our model is predictive. We can predict how much hash rewards will accumulate over a certain period of time. We can predict using stock to flow what the pricing of Bitcoin should reach or should attain. And it's much more consistent. It's much more reliable. Why, hope that you've guessed at the perfect time when you can run in a predictive business model like this and generate a revenue stream. Now, beyond that, let's say you do sell your Bitcoin at the top, right? And now you're waiting to do a huge swing trade. So you're waiting for the bottom to bottom out again. And then again, you have to buy back in at the perfect time. Again, wait, and sell at the top. With our model, you can continue getting revenue streams even as Bitcoin price action is declining. So you'll get paid off the liquidation of the tranche. And then when the tranche refreshes, you can buy back in and you can continue to accumulate Bitcoin all during this time, with also now having a new residual value on new miners that have been bought into the new tranche. So it's not even comparable. It's like an apples and an oranges situation. One is just a simple one trick pony. The other is a business model where we have many options to generate revenue and to generate growth and to generate wealth.
Okay, love it. Thanks for answering that. And then let's talk about power costs, because like you said, that is pretty much like the number one metric that is going to determine kind of profitability. So do you want to talk about what power costs, what you can tell us about that? And then a lot of people are
Sure,
asking,
absolutely.
Where are the mining operations? So maybe you can go through some of that.
Absolutely. So let's start with where are the mining operations. I'll go to Google Maps here and I'll kind of zoom in. Right. So if you look here, this big black object on the screen that I'm sharing, That is one of the largest solar farms in the world. It generates 1.3, I believe, 1.3 megawatts. One of these
Gigawatt.
things says,
1.3
or 1.3
gigawatts.
gigawatts, sorry. 1.3 gigawatts. And then if you notice, very close to this solar power generation, you have all these little square plots of land here. And this is land that's allocated for agricultural development. And it has a special power rate specifically for these plots of land. Now, we've confirmed time and time again that there is no restriction on what the power is used for. It's just simply these plots of land have a very special low power rate to encourage agricultural development or any kind of development. And you can see there's a little chicken farm here on these lands. So they have a special rate that goes to them. And that rate it's publicly known. If you look here at a third party hash rate index, which is a part of Luxor. We're not affiliated with Luxor, although we're friends with them. We've done business transactions with them. If we look at the UAE power rates, we can see that the residential consumers get a power rate of 2 cents all in, but these special agricultural plots, and again, we don't need a contract or anything like that. It's grandfathered in for decades with these plots of land. They get a rate of 0.012 cents, and it's actually 0.014 cents. I don't know why theirs is lower, but it may have to do with the conversion of the US dollar to AED. And that's what we're leveraging here. We're leveraging some of the cheapest power, grid power in the world, and it's a grid solar mix. So in the daytime, it's solar, and in the evening, when the sun goes down, it's nuclear or natural gas. And again, this article goes into depth all about that. But that's what we're doing is, we've found a phenomenal power situation where we can do a request to upgrade the power on these plots of land. And then we can install our mining facility. And I'll kind of go into that. Here is one of our mining facilities here. Here's the lovely Sakib.
Yeah, it's me.
Doxed.
S19's running here. And I'll kind of just go through it a little bit more. Another question that we get is, the UAE, it's very hot. This is the transformer outside here. And it's very hot. It's very dusty. And most people would think that's not really conducive to mining. And it is true. It's not conducive. But what we're using is a dual water curtain system. And it's phenomenal. It's really amazing how much this cools the air and cleans the air. And I'll give you a good example. These miners in the facility, they look like they're brand new, but they've actually been running for 8 months.
Yeah.
And that's how little dust, that's how much little dust we're able to, put through the miners because the water curtains are clearing out all the dust while cooling the air very, very effectively. Sakib went out there with a thermometer, and we were able to get a 50% reduction in air temperature. So he was measuring what, like 53, 54?
55, and then like 27.
And then inside it was 27, which is perfectly fine to run miners. The biggest headache that we have is not actually the heat or the dust. Surprisingly, the biggest headache that we have is humidity. If there's too much humidity in the air, it causes condensation and other problems and things like that. And so we have to shut down the fans on the front of our little mining hut here to recirculate the air to dry it out. And that is a wintertime problem. In the summertime, so far, Sakib, we haven't had any issues at all.
No, not at all.
Okay. So,
heat is not an issue.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Heat is not a problem for us.
Yeah, heat is not an issue. It's really just the humidity that's an issue. And I wanted to show you guys here another image of the cooling curtain. So as you can see, we've got a dual cooling curtain system, and we've got a little well or reservoir here that keeps all the water. And we just simply trickle the water over these water curtains, and it cools the air perfectly fine.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, no, thanks for showing that. That's great. Again, that's when we do stuff over the internet, again, that's a concern people have. Is this actually happening? Is this a real location? And I will say too, I'm happy to see a lot of the mining projects, again, not going to mention anything by name or anything, but A lot of crypto projects, we'll say that they do fundraising. We're going to be building this, and we're going to be doing this, and we're going to be moving here, yada yada yada, which is fine. But it's cool to see you guys actually have this going already. It's moving right now. It's the location's there. You have it picked out. You have power to it already. So that's amazing to see. So with the money from these mints, you're going to just be buying more miners. Is that kind of the plan with it?
No, actually, we're going to build out, well, hopefully we're going to build out a totally new dedicated structure just for the Mineopoly project. We've also been asked many, many times, well, what happens if you don't sell enough NFTs? Well, that's perfectly fine. If we don't, we do have existing operations. We have roughly about 5 megawatts running. We're in the works, in the talks of putting in another 11 megawatts. Actually, I just closed 1 megawatt today, and another 10 megawatts supposedly will be coming once they do the fundraise. So we'll have plenty of space to run the holders of Mineopoly if we don't get enough people together to build out a dedicated space.
Okay. Nope. That's good to know. Yeah. Thanks. So that was one of the questions that people had. Another question was, what's the difference? You mentioned that there's 2 companies. There's the East, and then there's the regular. Do you want to talk about how those combine with each other, or how do those companies work?
Sure. So A6Z LLC, it started originally by me and Sakib, and that was back in what, 2020 or 2019, Sakib? I can't.
2019.
2019. And we started out as a brokering company for institutional level miners in the industry. And we've been doing this for years and years and years. Previously, we worked with Scott Offord, and things just didn't work out with us and Scott Offord. And so Sakib and I decided to part ways and just do our own thing. And that grew into a big enough situation to where, well, first of all, Sakib lives in Bangladesh. And he wasn't able to leave Bangladesh to the United States because culturally he has to take care of his family. His grandfather passed away, and so he has to take care of his grandfather's affairs and estates and things like that. And so Sakib and I were kind of putting our heads together, and we're thinking, where is a place? Well, first of all, Sakib's a United States citizen. So living in Bangladesh is like, imagine if you guys as US citizens had to pack up and suddenly move to Bangladesh. So I could definitely tell Sakib was getting homesick. And we put our heads together and we're like, what's a place that's relatively close to Bangladesh, but still kind of has the more modern Western style living? And we came up with Dubai. And so in 2021, I believe, we decided to create a sister office in Dubai. And that office is now our holding company. So it's holding our mining operations, which is a company called Paracan Z, and is now holding our equipment brokering operations in the US, which is A6Z. And we did that for tax reasons, obviously. If you've got all these LLCs, they pay up into a holding company, the holding company pays into a trust, and the trust.
Yes, I know how it goes. You got to do the LLC dance, right?
Right. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of the story behind that. We did it for 2 main reasons. One, so Sakib could kind of live in a better place than he was currently living. And 2, so we could kind of manage all of our other companies under a holding company in Dubai and reap the benefits of that.
Yep. Absolutely. I have not much tax or regulation in Dubai.
There's lots of regulation, but there is no tax, and they're taxing certain situations like local-based companies, but we're actually organized out of the free zone, which is not taxed.
Okay, very cool. Couple things. Every vlog, welcome to my community. Thanks for joining. Good to have you. He has a question. Hey, James, brother, how are you doing? I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. I do have one doubt. If I purchase an NFT, then my investment will work for me until the miner works. After that, I get no returns. Am I correct in that?
That is incorrect. So the idea is to follow the full life cycle of the mining operation. And I'll just kind of briefly go over that here because I've got a cool little chart. All right. So if we look at the full life cycle, the first step is that we mint the NFTs, then we procure the machines, then we run the machines while optimizing them, and then we do what's called a market evaluation. So we look at the price action of Bitcoin and the price per terahash. And I think I can find that on hash rate index. Let me see. Let's see if I can.
Look at this live research.
Yeah, it's not live research. I should have had it all pulled up, but let's see here if that.
Let me see if I can get it.
Yeah, here we go. I got it. It's live ASIC prices. So if we look, let's go all-time high. If we look, the price of Bitcoin miners changes over time based off of the value of Bitcoin and also the efficiency of the machines. So the efficient machines are the ones that get the highest price per terahash, if you will. And so we can see at the beginning of the last bull run, the end of the bear market, very efficient machines were going for about $24, $25 per terahash. But during the bull run, at the very peak of the bull run, they went all the way as high as $119 per terahash. And so again, if we go back here, you know, we're thinking if we follow the stock to flow that the price per terahash should be around $150 for used machines at the peak of the next bull run. And so leveraging that, you know, this would be your rewards. And then what we plan to do is then invite everybody back in. We're going to open the tranche back open. And everybody who were holders in that closed tranche will now have first shot at buying into the refresh of that tranche again. And this will wash, rinse, and repeat, wash, rinse, and repeat. So, you know, unlike just buying Bitcoin and holding it and then selling at the peak and then buying again and holding it and selling at the peak, this is going to be a cycle of wealth building, of wealth generation. It's not going to be just a one-trick pony. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yes. Nope. I think that is a good answer, because yeah, that's a concern for people, is they know, hey, these miners are going to break or they're going to get outdated at some point. And so yeah, what's going to happen at that point? So no, I think that answers it. Let's talk about the NFTs that you're actually minting. So there's two different NFTs. There's the membership NFT and the Mineopoly NFT. Do you want to talk about prices and what's the difference? Which one do people need?
Sure. So it's all on our website. It's 50 USDC renewable every year for the memberships. And we have to kind of declare that memberships hold no value because we're not a security. We are a mining community, or a mining club, if you will, where the community holders have the power to influence the decision of operations, of course, with the guidance of me and Sakib, our expert guidance. But, you know, ultimately, this is community controlled. You know, we're not individuals offering, you know, some sort of security offering or anything like that. But some other advantages that the membership gives is that it gives you access to our technology stack, which we will be building, that will show, you know, live hashing and monthly hashing statistics. And also you'll be able to input your Bitcoin wallet address and initiate payouts from there. It also gives you community voting rights and ensures that, you know, your voice is heard. And it will also give an automatic membership to our NFT marketplace, but that's something that is probably not going to happen in this initial phase 1 of the project. It'll probably happen in phase 2 or something like that. Once the value of everything is established, I think that's when we're going to focus more on the marketplace. And then our second NFT is the Mineopoly NFT. And if you look up here, you can see that there's a time limit on each tranche. And tranche 1 is already closed. Nobody can buy any more tranche 1 NFTs. Tranche 2 is currently open. And once it either times out or it sells out, then tranche 3 will go on. And you can see the price changes each time we go up in level and tranche. Now, once we have enough NFTs together, again, to create our own facility, we're going to go ahead and merge those tranches together and start building out the facility. If by the end of all 5 tranches, we don't have at least a 0.5 megawatt worth of NFTs sold, then we're just going to run everybody under the roof of our own operations. And we'll kind of consider this project a failure. And we'll, you know, at the end of the tranche, when it liquidates, we'll liquidate everybody out and we'll say, you know, thanks for participating. No hard feelings. I hope you guys all had fun. I know we did, but we're just going to kind of walk away at that point. Yeah. So.
Okay. And then do you need, and just so everyone knows, tranche is just a portion of something. If you aren't familiar with that word, it's a common investing word, but So do you need a membership NFT to mint a Mineopoly NFT?
Yes, yes.
That's correct.
As per, you know, all the rules and regulations and being compliant. Another cool thing is we've recently added a multi-mint feature and a credit card feature. And in order to do that, you have to have a membership NFT to be compliant with all those things.
Okay, awesome. So yes, if you're wanting to get in, then you're going to come mint a membership NFT, and then you can mint a Mineopoly NFT, or you can mint several. Is there any limits to how many Mineopoly NFTs you're able to
No,
mint?
there's no limits. And we've got holders from the first tranche that minted out like 40 or 50. And that's why they were like, please add a multi-mint feature. My finger is killing me.
You can only click so many times, right?
Right. And yeah, so you guys won't have any of those headaches, any of those growing pains. You know, like I've said many times before, we're coming from the mining industry into the NFT space. And so we're learning as we're going, and we're implementing any kind of recommendations or any kind of changes that the community needs or the community wants. And I'm very proud about how fast we're able to implement that. You know, I think a lot of projects don't have the advantages that we have. We try to do everything in-house. So that means we have total end-to-end control. We're not dependent upon any kind of third party. You know, we're not dependent on a third party to procure miners. We're not dependent on a third party to get power. I mean, other than the power company itself, but there's no middleman in between. And for all of our development technology stacks, we don't depend on third parties for that either. We do that all in-house.
Okay, very good. In every vlog, our new member says, to put it simply, it's lifetime passive income. What kind of payout ROI per month are you guys expecting? And also, when are payouts going to start?
So again, that's another reason why we put a clock on this, is we wanted to add some certainty to the project. We felt that there's so many projects out there where it's just all open-ended, and we know that the market can change dramatically. I mean, if you look at the ASIC value, I mean, what happens if we started the project here and we didn't get enough NFTs until here to build out a tranche? We'd be screwed because the price of miners has quadrupled, you know, gone up 5x. There's no way it was feasible. So we wanted to put a clock on our project because we understand this very intimately. And we wanted to assure that payouts would happen without any kind of delay, without any kind of reservation, without any kind of excuse. And so the worst case scenario is in 80 days, all of these tranches close, and then we'll either start doing a build out for 0.5 megawatt if we get there, or we're just going to buy the machines and put them in our existing operations. So in 80 days, you're either going to start a build out, or 80 days or less, I should say, because if we get there, let's say tranche 2 completely fills out, well, we're going to go ahead and start building right then and there. As for the ROI per month or ROI per day, this is, again, an apples and oranges comparison because, and let me explain, you know, in traditional investments, you're looking for that, you know, what's my annual yield or what's my monthly yield? And this isn't working with any kind of traditional assets that work in a consistent or predictable or linear scale of ROI. And again, let me just go back to our calculator here. You know, if we do this for, let's say, 2 years, which would be 24 months, and we do, let's see, 8,934 divided by 24. I mean, you'd be looking at a yield, again, averaged over time, of $372 or something like that is what my math comes to. However, if we look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin is not linear. It's not a linear prediction, right? You have to use these models, these predictors, to get an idea of what it's going to do. It always moves in a parabolic. It doesn't move in a linear thing. So month 1, month 2, month 3, you're probably not going to see much return at all. But once the bull market hits and the bull run goes, and this goes to phenomenal heights, and you time those liquidations and you cash out then according to our calculator, you would average out $372 per month over that period. But it's not going to be a linear, predictable model like most people are asking for. That's just not the nature of what we're dealing with.
Yeah, and I would add this really only makes sense if you believe in Bitcoin. So I wouldn't even look at this as like how many dollars am I
Exactly.
making per month in this. It doesn't really make sense because that's not the way that that's not what makes this project special. That's not what makes Bitcoin valuable. So I would be looking at how much Bitcoin are you able to get. And you can run some numbers, you can do some predictions if you want to.
I've
But
done
I
the
would
math
think that I'm
already.
accumulating Bitcoin is the way that I would think through this. So if you believe in Bitcoin, you believe in the future of it, you believe these ETFs are going to help, and then you're going to want to accumulate Bitcoin, and this is a way to do it.
Absolutely. You're accumulating Bitcoin, and you're not accumulating it at market price. You're accumulating it at an electrical cost of $6,000 per Bitcoin, which is phenomenally low. And you have the ability to accumulate it not just for, this cycle, but through many cycles into the future
Yep,
at that
absolutely.
extremely low power cost. So yeah, it's phenomenal.
Right. Yep. And consider that audience too, that if most people are paying, like here in Nebraska, we pay 11 cents a kilowatt hour. Okay. That's what we pay here. And that's actually pretty cheap here in the US. 11,
Mhm.
10, 9 cents a kilowatt hour is not bad. You get into California and you're, 35 cents a kilowatt hour and sometimes even higher. So being
Virgin
able to
Islands. Try to go to the Virgin Islands. It's crazy high
pretty
there.
expensive there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
some miners are going to be getting these much higher prices to mint their Bitcoin. So they're still going to be minting Bitcoin, but it's going to
Mhm.
be at a much higher power rate. So again, being part of a project like this, there's no way you are going to get 2 cent a kilowatt hour power. You personally, it's just not going to happen. Unless I don't know, maybe you can go to Dubai and work out something yourself, or I wouldn't recommend it. Okay.
No,
I'd
it's
recommend
it's
just,
not gonna be possible. We basically we're in cooperation with the local utility company and the landowners. Like, they all know us very, very intimately. And from what I know, correct me if I'm wrong, Saki, but because of the recent updates that happened with the Chinese blowing up transformers, like, they're not gonna touch anybody but us.
Yeah, they're pretty much closing down to people they don't know, and you have to be licensed to
And we're
mine there.
licensed. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
okay,
So
so
yeah.
much easier jumping on these guys' backs and saying, "Hey, you guys do all the work. We'll reap some of the benefits from it." James was wanting to know: can a miner sell Bitcoin directly to an investor? James, do you mean can we buy Bitcoin straight from these guys? I'm not totally sure, but I don't know. Is that a possibility, or have you guys thought about anything like that?
Well, fundamentally, that is how a pool works. So you get all these machines together and you connect them to the pool. And what they're effectively doing is they're buying your hash rate from you and paying you with the Bitcoin rewards. So they're making, a margin on doing that. So whenever a miner in the pool solves a block and gets those rewards, it first goes to the pool's wallet, and then the pool will then distribute it out. So I don't know. Does that answer your question, or was it more like talking like an over-the-counter situation where we as a farm could hold all of our coin, and then somebody personally could come to us and we could do like a P2P, a
Yeah.
person-to-person exchange?
Yeah, no, I think you answered it for him. So I think that was just if you guys are able to get way cheaper Bitcoin, maybe skipping the NFT and just buy Bitcoin straight from you guys. But that wouldn't make a ton of sense for Ethan and Saqib to do it that way because they can sell if they wanted to sell their Bitcoin, they could do it at market rate,
Yeah, we'd sell
and
it. We'd sell it at market, and the name of the game is accumulation, guys. It's
yeah.
not
Yeah.
selling it. All right. The last thing that you want to do is sell your coin month to month to month. You just want to sell the bare minimum that you need to cover your operating expenses and hold the rest and accumulate and accumulate and accumulate.
Yep, absolutely. Quarter mile, does that rewards are 6,000? Is there any access people can get to that calculator you were using, or what's the best way if people want to kind of mess around with the numbers?
Oh yeah, let's go to our website, asixz.com. And we've got a calculator. We'll do the hosting profit calculator, because this is one of my favorite things that I've invented. And again, we do all this cool stuff in house. It even factors in the halvening and all kinds of stuff. So let's do 0.95 megawatts, and we're going to do M50 118Ts. We'll just do the 120Ts. That's fine. All right. So, and let's see. Let's put in our power cost at 2 cents, and we're not going to do any profit share.
And if you mean the NFT, the reward, I mean the from the hash rate, we can go into our Discord, and it's in our announcements. The other calculator that we showed.
Okay, yeah. All of that is in our Discord, guys. So I love your questions. Please join our Discord. I'll be happy to continue to answer them. But if we look here, we would generate 2.3 Bitcoins over a 1 month period at an electricity cost of 13,611, right? And if we take 13,600 and we divide it by 2.3, that's a cost of $5,917 worth of electricity for 1 Bitcoin.
Okay. So yeah, so there's how the $6,000 Bitcoin, that's how they got that number. So hopefully, Quarter Mile, that helps you. Again, hop in the Discord and you can get access to that other calculator. If you have more in-depth questions or you want to really dig into the numbers, that's a great place to do it. What I've found for most, these communities are thrilled to kind of talk through the numbers and talk with potential investors about what it is that they're doing. So definitely hop in there, Quarter Mile. I left that link in the comments, so hop in there for sure. Can you talk with us a little bit about the roadmap? So what's on the roadmap? So if you're able to get all the tranches sold out, what's kind of does the roadmap look like for you guys?
That's a great question. Let's kind of go through. So currently we're in phase 1, and initially the white paper, I outlined 10 possible phases, but because the market is so dynamic and it changes so much, I think what we're going to do is we're just going to do phase 1. So once phase 1 is done, unless we get like millions of people begging us to open up phase 2, that's going to be all she wrote. We're just going to stick with phase 1. We're going to mine out for the 2 or so years until we hit the bull run and liquidate, and then just refresh the phase 1. But if we look at phase 1, it's going to contain 5 megawatts. And so there should be plenty of room for anybody who's interested in our project to become a part of it. I don't know how many people will ultimately be interested in it, but it'll be very interesting to find out. And we can see as we go through each tranche, the price of the NFT increases. And this is to, basically just reward the people who got in early. And the people who got in early, they got collector's editions NFTs. And we're really grateful for all your support. If you guys are here, if you guys are listening. But, we want to, just like Bitcoin, when you get into it early, that's when you get the maximum reward. And we've kind of structured our project the same way. But let's just say hypothetically, your audience goes wild for a project. Tranche 2, boom, immediately sells out. Tranche 3 sells out, 4, 5. And then we've got all this demand and people are like, please open up another phase. We do have the potential to open up another 9 phases beyond this first phase, right? So hopefully that kind of gives the roadmap. Like now, we're keeping it basic. We're keeping it simple. And we do have the potential to vertical beyond that if needed.
Okay. No, I like that. I like that strategy. Is there's, there's a huge roadmap you could do, but keeping it small for now, and you might have
keep
to
it super simple.
Yep. And you just never know what's going to happen with the markets or anything. So no, I really like that. So does anybody else in the audience have any questions? There's a few more questions about the calculators, but again, I would say hop into the Discord and then you can get the access to that spreadsheet, maybe even, and or design your own spreadsheet. That's what I like to do. And you can really mess around to see what you'll get. But again, I would be focusing on how much Bitcoin can I accumulate, and can I accumulate it faster doing something like this than I can just dollar cost averaging Bitcoin myself. That's really the calculation that I would encourage you guys to kind of look through, just based on the numbers that you're given. So let's unless you have anything else you want to add, I always like to end with calls to action. So I'm going to give what I would say are my calls to action. And Ethan, you can correct me or you can add or subtract whatever you want. But I always start with the free ones. Okay. I know not all of you are in a position to spend money right now, but there's still things you can do that are free. First off, hit like on the video. Okay. That helps just get the word out there. So that's helpful to Mineopoly, even if you're not able to put in money. That's helpful to them. So number one. Number two, go follow them on Twitter. Help get the social media kind of start growing that. As Twitter sees there's more followers, that will help that word spread a little bit. So I'll leave a link to the Twitter, but go follow on Twitter. Again, free thing you can do. Go hop into the Discord. Again, that's a free thing you can do where you can you just discuss and make sure you understand the numbers, and you even give, criticisms. If you're like, you see a flaw, you see something, no, this isn't going to work because of this or that, go bring it up. I mean, nobody would appreciate that more than Ethan and Sakib. They would love to hear problems with what they're doing, constructive criticism. So go do that. And then if you're wanting to get involved financially, again, the website, I'll leave it again here in the comments, but Mineopoly.io. Let me, my screen here, Mineopoly.io. And then you'll need a membership NFT first. And then you mint that, and then you can mint as many of the Mineopoly NFTs as you would like. And again, they have very good documentation, way better than my NFTs that I put out. But exactly what you're getting for each of these NFTs. And again, if you have more questions, hop in Discord. You can leave comments on this video, and I'll be looking through those to kind of help. But Discord is going to be a great place to get those questions answered. So does that pretty much cover it, Ethan?
Yeah, that does. Also, just keep in mind that there is a time limit to this. So if you want in and you want in at a lower price, don't wait on tranche 2. We made Herculean efforts to include multi-mint and credit card processing in tranche 1 because we wanted to facilitate those people that could only get in because they could only use their credit or their debit card. They didn't have access to crypto funds directly. And so we went out of our way to accommodate them to make sure that they could get on in tranche 1. So yeah, if there's anything that's holding you back for tranche 2, let us know, and we will do everything in our power to make it happen for you.
Okay. Yep. No, that's good. So 16 days. So yeah, if you're wanting to get in, you save 20 bucks by just doing it a little bit earlier. So yeah, I would recommend that too. Don't wait too long or else the price just goes up. So James says, hope Mineopoly has success. So, and a good name too. Very catchy name. So nice job on that. So awesome. Well, hey, audience, you guys are amazing. Appreciate you guys. I can only do what I do because you guys show up day after day to watch me and watch the guests that I bring on. So thank you guys very much. Please hit like on your way out. And Ethan and Sakib, thank you for building something in the space. Thank you for showing your faces. Sakib actually did show his face earlier. He's just having video. Video was not the greatest because of internet connection. So we had him turn that off, but there he is. So they're not hiding anything.
No.
Very transparent team. They gave us a Google Maps of where their location is and everything. So thank you guys for doing that. Thanks for building something. And yeah, let me know if there's anything that me or my audience can do to kind of help you be successful.
Fantastic, James. Yeah, thank you. And thank everybody for showing. It looks like we got a lot of people involved in this. So I'm very happy to see this. And I hope to see everybody in our Discord.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. And hope you all have a great rest of your day.